All right, we're here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, getting set for UFC 161 coming up on Saturday night, 10 Eastern, main event, 3 rounds. Dan Henderson and this man, Sugar Rashad Evans. And Rashad, with the move up to the main event, also comes the main event grind, where you've probably done 10,000 interviews by this point. What question have you been asked the most? In other words, what do you not want me to ask you at this point?
Well, the question I've been asked most is about my last fight, and is this a do or die fight for me?
Oh, do or die. I'm going to assume that you weren't happy with your last fight, and
Right.
you're hoping that you win on Saturday.
That's exactly what I'm hoping. You are a genius.
You're kind of now. You're on the other side as well. You're holding the microphone now too. You're doing the analysis work. How have you felt that part has progressed just over the past year? I mean, clearly, maybe the best dressed of all of them right now, even ahead of Ariel Helwani. But how are you enjoying that aspect of things outside of fighting?
I absolutely love doing the analyst work and working with, working on Field TV, just because, it provides a different challenge. You know, with fighting, it's one thing, but then doing the analyst work is just another thing because, I'm learning fighting from a different way. I'm learning from an analyst point of view. I'm breaking down each fighter. I'm understanding why the technique is working and why it's not working. So it actually makes me look at fighting a little different because now I'm becoming a better analyst of watching fights, but also I'm learning each and every fighter.
It's interesting because in other sports, we'll see guys who are retired come back to do analysis work. You're still working with a lot of these guys, and now you're put in a position where you've got to give your critiques of these fighters. I mean, do you get grief from some of these guys? It's like, Rashad, man, why are you ragging on my double leg or just stuff like that? I mean, it's kind of weird when you're still in it and you're still training with guys, and now you're also an analyst on the side.
Yeah, it does get pretty weird. I mean, I had a couple guys kind of shoot me a dirty look and kind of get mad at me, asshole. That's what they're probably thinking, but it's part of my job. When I'm working and when I'm trying to be honest, I think it'd be a disservice to myself and to the fans at home that's watching if I don't give them my honest input of what I feel is going on or what I think of this opponent or that fighter. So I think I just have to go out there and give it how it is, and then even no matter what, if I'm not trying to be mean, then it comes across as just good, honest criticism.
We've seen a lot of changes with the Blackzilians, but 2 new people that have come in, Kenny Monday and then Pedro Diaz for the wrestling and boxing. What have those 2 guys meant to the camp?
Kenny Monday has brought so much to the camp and so much to me, far as just from mentality, wrestling, and also just that leadership. And Pedro Diaz is one of the best coaches I ever had a chance to train with, just because he's so thorough. He's so his mindset when it comes to training is not like any other coach, and he makes sure that you are absolutely prepared. He makes sure that the training is 10 times harder than the fight could ever be. So when you train with Pedro Diaz, it's quite the experience.
How do things balance out right now? Because you guys have so much talent in that gym, and that can sometimes be difficult when you're trying to focus on so many fights coming up. How is that dynamic at the Blackzilians right now? Do you guys feel that you have a good schedule, so to speak, in preparing each guy now?
Yeah, we have a good schedule. What it comes down to is each fighter just being accountable for really what their needs are. I think the coaches do a really good job of making sure that they reach out to the fighters and make sure that they talk to them about what they feel their weaknesses and strengths are. And, but it's ultimately up to each fighter to seek out the coaches that you feel like you need to use the most and come up with a routine and schedule that works for you.
We were talking to Dan earlier. He said he expects you to come out and want to stand and trade with him. Do you foresee, how have you prepared for Dan's wrestling, and do you feel that will be a big part of this fight on Saturday night?
I think wrestling will be a big part of it, but for the most part, I think it's going to be, we're going to exchange, we're going to trade. Dan has that really, really big right hand, and I think he's going to try to hit it, and that's okay, because I'm ready for it.
2 last things here. I know that you do a lot of drawing on the side as well. You're a very well-versed man. Tell us just a bit about that. Is that something that's just kind of a release for you, something you enjoy doing on the side? Tell us a bit about that part of things.
Drawing is something I got into. I've been doing it since I was a kid, but I really got into it the most. And when I was working as a security guard at the hospital. You know, I would just be sitting in the truck for hours and on patrol, or at a desk, a station on patrol, and I would just draw, and it would just take me places, you know. And even now, when I sit down and just draw, it just really just helps me take my mind off of anything that's troubling me, or if I'm thinking too much, it helps me just not think about anything. Because at first, I start off thinking, and the more I'm drawing, I suddenly realize that I haven't been thinking about anything but just drawing for the last, 30 minutes or an hour, and it's like the most peaceful thing. I just have a complete absent mind except for what I'm looking at.
And my last question, I know last year down in Miami you went to WrestleMania, and I'm curious, did you see Quentin Jackson's recent debut for TNA Wrestling, and how do you think he will fare in professional wrestling?
I didn't see it, man. I wanted to watch it. I'm a big Quentin fan, so I would like to see how he did. But I think he'll do well. I think it's right up his alley. I think that's what he was kind of born for more than anything. He's got a lot of character, and I think his character will be big. It'll be huge in it.
Well, you are someone that, well beyond your fighting days, I think you have many, many avenues out there to explore, Rashad. We really appreciate this time, but we are looking forward to UFC 161 Saturday night, 10 Eastern on pay-per-view. Dan Henderson, Rashad Evans in your main event.